talk about veterinary preparation before I send my patients to major events. Explain kind of what we do and my protocol for getting your athlete ready to compete at the top of their game. So starting about a month before the major event, whether it be rodeo, ropings, horse shows, whatever, pretty much do the same thing. So it's extremely important to not only go to these events with a sound horse ready to compete at the top of their game, but to have their immune system as boosted as possible so they can stay healthy in the midst of stress of training and traveling, introduction of many new horses around, and so first thing, about a month before, we get together and I will vaccinate them at this time if they have not been boosted recently. So recently to me means twice a year at least, with influenza and rhino vaccines for the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds that haven't traveled as much as the older horses. I will bump this up to 3 times a year. So that's once every 4 months for the influenza and rhino. Both of those diseases are highly contagious and create a lot of sickness. I can't tell you how many athletes I see at major events in the fall with super high temperatures, just not feeling great, and therefore they can't compete. The second group of vaccines are the core vaccines. That's West Nile, tetanus, rabies, Eastern and Western encephalitis. Those can be given once a year in older horses that have vaccines regularly. For the first round of shots, I will give them every 6 months for 2 rounds. Additionally, you will have to have a Coggins test for equine infectious anemia, and are good for most everywhere, 12 months. The South Point in Vegas requires a 6-month Coggins. With that, you will need a certificate of veterinary inspection to cross state lines as well, and that usually gets written within 10 days of travel. Idaho is a brand state, so we do require a brand inspection to cross state lines as well. So once we're vaccinated and have all our paperwork ready, then I do my lameness exam. I want to do my lameness exam about 7 to 10 days after the end of any vaccine and 7 to 10 days before the first competition. This ensures if we do any joint injections or therapeutics that we're not harming the immune system and decreasing our chances of having it go well. What I do, start at the throat latch, work my way down both sides of the neck, feeling for pain, crunchiness, or inflammation. Then I go to the shoulder, elbow, knee or carpal joints, down the back of the tendons, feel the digital pulses on the forelimbs, and then the coffin joints. Then I'll run my fingers over their back and their belly to the hip, which is the SI region, sacroiliac, which is very important in our big stopping horses, sometimes overlooked as well, also jumpers and hunters. Then I run my hand on the inside of the stifle, the medial femoral pouch, which is at the site of 80% of lameness issues in the stifles. Then I go over the hock, distal cannon in the hind limbs, feel the tendons, digital pulses again, and coffin joint. Do this on both sides. And then we watch them travel. So we'll watch them trot in a straight line on hard ground, and then I flex them all the way around. So all 4 limbs get flexed, and when I pick up the limbs, that's when I really palpate the tendons and the joints, testing for any crunchiness or heat or inflammation that I missed on my original exam. And then I'll use the hoof testers on the 4 limbs just to make sure I'm not missing any hoof abscesses or laminitis or frog problems, things like that. So once I have a good lameness exam done, then sometimes I will watch them under saddle. Sometimes when we add the rider's weight, it can be a different lameness exam altogether. This last video, I just wanted to show you where the important joints are. So in the hind limb, at the top one is the stifle, then the hock, fetlock, coffin, and pastern. And in the forelimb, navicular bursa, pastern, coffin, fetlock, carpal joints, elbow, and shoulder. Keep in mind, this exam is not just for our traveling athletes, but good to perform annually in all riding horses. If you have any questions, feel free to call or text us, or check us out on Facebook at Equine Veterinary Service.